when you download a design, say if you download it, it usually gives you options of what you want to download it in. I would definitely choose the DST. But if you have designs from previous machines or software, for example, I was using the Husqvarna, the HUS format, when you load it into the StitchEra Liberty, you would then just go up to File, and when you choose Save, you'll be able to export your embroidery design file in the DST format. So you're able to load a design in HUS, PES, Janome, other formats out there, Melco. But when you go to File and Save, that's when it will convert it to a DST so that you can load it into your embroidery machine. So let's see. Michelle asks, is there a way to set it up to where all the colors sew at once? Yes. On the embroidery machine, you've got the little yellow icons at the bottom of your screen. You want to make sure, I want to say it is the third icon over from the left. Second or third, you want to make sure that it is yellow. The other colors are blue, and the other color is red. Michelle also asks, is she able to set Royal as her default thread choice? Yes, Michelle, when you go into your embroidery tab, choose your color palette, and then in here, you want to choose red, set it up for Royal, and then down here, you want to save that, and then choose default to save that as your default color. So every time you open the software, instead of it showing up in red, you will then have your default blue. Another choice you can do is up here in thread charts, you've got the system DB is the default. For the Avance, we sell the Royal Polyester. So you will scroll down to the Royal Polyester thread, select it, and you can actually go through here. If you've got just 15 colors, select which colors you have by the numbers and incorporate them into the list so that every time you open the software, it's showing just the colors you have in stock. Make sure you save that as a file and then set it as your default so that every time you open it, you've got just the colors that you've purchased from Coleman & Company. Let's see here. Pat's asking, can he change the density of a design, for example, 3 inches to 5 inches without losing the density? If it's a DST design or an expanded design, no matter if you go higher or lower, the stitch count will not change. So if you go from 3 to 5 inches, depends on how dense it was to begin with, you might be okay. I usually go 10 to 15% bigger or smaller without doing too much damage. You start going larger and you'll start seeing gaps between your stitches. If it's a design that you've created in the software and you size it, the density will adjust to the appropriate size you chose. Let's see. Hello, Pam. Let's see. She asks, when she's digitizing, she traces the design. However, at the time, it won't give a satin stitch horizontal. It wants to do long stitches the other direction.
Pam, can you expand on that a little bit? Maybe when she first does the design, she wants it to default to a satin stitch horizontal instead of vertical.
Let me see. Let's see what she, no, it's Charles Morse. All right, yeah, just elaborate a little bit better on that, Pam. And let me see. Michelle, first question. Can you go over that one more time? Got it on the second question. Thank you.
I don't remember what the first question was.
Yeah,
you're going to have to start over again.
I'm sorry, Michelle. When I answer the question, I delete the question so the inbox won't get so full. I do apologize. But please go ahead and ask that. What was the first question you had? And I will definitely go over it. It will go the length wide instead of across the design.
I think you're going to need to send us a screenshot, Pamela.
Yeah. Okay, here we go. Michelle says, is there a way to set it up to where all the colors sew at once? Is there a way to set it up to where all the colors sew at once? On the embroidery machine, you've got the yellow icons located at the bottom of your embroidery machine. I want to say it is the second one or third one over from the left. It is your color change option. The options are either a yellow icon, a blue icon, or a red icon. The yellow icon means you would select all your colors when typing them in. It'll run through your design showing all the colors. If the icon is blue, you type in all your colors, it's going to stop after every color. So you've got to keep pressing start. If it is red, you manually select the colors as you go. For example, you want to sew color blue on needle number 8, you would type in 8 and press start. It would stop. Next color is red 3. You would hit 3 and start. So you're manually typing them in as you go. We've got a good video on using the red manual color changes, if I'm not mistaken, on our website on when you're doing name drops. Let's see here. All right, Pam, it goes the longest distance in satin stitch. Okay. Instead of the shortest, most direct direction. Is that when you are digitizing for a satin stitch, Pam? When you're doing a satin stitch and you're using the column zigzag, if you're going, you need a pair of points as you go around. If this is what you are asking about. For example, those lines that I placed, which I will highlight when we turn off the stitches, that is the direction of the stitches at that particular point of the design. If you miss a point, then it is going to try to pair up with when you put that second point. Okay, good. So whenever you're placing the stitches, it needs a pair of points. So if you place one here and misplacing one over here, and it goes over here, your points are now really twisted because it's doing from here all the way over here as a long satin stitch. That point needs to be, I always like trying doing it the shortest distance across the object to make that line so that your sew out is going to look nice and uniform. All right, we'll go ahead and delete that out. Let's see here. Priscilla, show how to set running stitches as repetitive. All right, and the other one we do, Charles, is how do you change the preference on your color palette so that it reads to your color palette, say to Isocord, so that those colors every time you download a design. All right, Charles, what we do here is you go over to, when you're in the embroidery tab, you'll see your colors on the left side. These are just the default colors that StitchEra Liberty uses. So what you want to do is choose the color palette, opens it up, and then at the top, you've got a tab for thread charts. Choose that, and where it says Line System DB, which is the default, choose the drop-down menu and change it to the thread you have, for example, Isocord. And they are alphabetical. Did I skip it? We're alphabetical. Where's Isocord? Madeira, Genome, Paris. There's Isocord. Okay, by Ackerman. Choose which Isocord brand you have. Select it. Those are the colors for the Isocord. Once you have those, then you need to select, say, the first color you have is blue. So you want to double-click on blue. We'll throw it into the list. Next color, instead of green, you have yellow 600. Double-click on that. Set that over there. Third color you have is red. Double-click on this card, adds it to the list, and so on through all the colors that you have in your category on your thread chart. Once you're done, you will click on Save, and you will give it a name, say Isocord Threads or My Stash, My Stock, My Threads. Click OK to save that file. Once you save that file, click on Default. It will then save what you have here as the default. So every time you open the software, it's going to show your colors on that list on the left-hand side. All right. Let's see. Sorry. Yeah, Pam, if you're doing a satin stitch, you definitely, when you're choosing the column and you're choosing column zigzag, you have to do a zigzag back and forth movement around your object. For example, let's just open up a design here. I'll give you an example. Cut this out. For example, the C. When we zoom into the letter C and we choose our embroidery, our column with zigzag, you don't want to outline the object because what you're doing is you're placing, this first point and this point is its pair. So your satin stitches are this way. Then your next point's over here. Then here, that's a pair. Then here and here, that's a pair. So what you have to do is you have to go across the object as in a zigzag pattern, left and right or right to left, does not matter, top to bottom, bottom to top, as you go around to define the satin. And then enter, and of course it's red on red, we can't see that, so we'll change it to green, and there we go. So as you can see, your satin stitches go left and right, rather than if I were to outline it, you're pretty much putting your pair of points directly on the same line as it goes around. So yes, definitely for satin stitches using the column, you have to go back and forth around the area. The only time you want to outline the object is if you're using the uniform area. You define the area, then choose your start point and your end point, the stitch direction, and then it fills the whole letter, the whole object in that one direction. Let's see, Priscilla wants to know, show how to set running stitches as repetitive. If we come up here to path with running stitches, right here where it says 1, this is your repetitions. So if it's set for 1, it's going to start where you started, end where you end. So if you want to go around the object, say 3 times, you want to change that number from 1 to 3. So it will go around the object once, twice, 3 times. So it's a lot thicker than a single running stitch around an object. So when doing the running stitches as repetitive, you want to choose your running stitch, and right here where it usually is a 1 as a default, change that to a 3, Priscilla. Up top, above that, that's the stitch length between when it puts points down. If you wanted to get a more of a loose running stitch, you want to change that from a 20, maybe beef it up to like a 4 or 5. All right, next question, Michelle. You had a design created. You needed to make it a little smaller. When you highlighted the design, then used the tools to make it smaller, the design went everywhere on the screen. What would cause this? I can email you the design if it helps. Michelle, one thing I would definitely check, when you imported the design, for example, anytime you import an expanded design, you're going to choose the open embroidery design. At the bottom of this list, or the open window, it is going to give you an option right here where it says expanded to condensed. Make sure that box is not checked. If that box is checked, what happens, it tries taking your expanded design, converting it to condensed so that it tries to adjust the density automatically. And what happens is it kind of takes your design and makes it haywire. You've got stitches all over the place. It takes stitches out of sections. It just causes a mess. There's an easier way to do that. What I would do is definitely don't have that checked. Make sure there is no check mark in that box when you are loading a DST or expanded design. Priscilla, how do you set stops? That would be easy done on the embroidery machine. When you're typing in your colors on the embroidery machine, and you've got your list, you're typing in 1, 7, 12, 3, 2, but you want the machine to stop between the second color and the third color. Once you type in that second color, make sure that the second color is still highlighted. On the control panel on the embroidery machine, you've got the button with the 2 triangles on it. It is in between the 4 arrow buttons that you use to move your pantograph. Hit the button with the double triangles on it. That will put a red box behind that particular number in your sew out sequence. So for example, you typed in 1735 and you wanted the machine to stop after it sewed the second color, which is number 7, you would have a red box underneath number 7. You would actually see a red box. So the machine will sew the first color, then it switches to needle number 7, it'll sew that color, and then it will stop. Allow you to do what you need to do, press start, and it moves to the next color and finishes out your design. So it's easier done on the embroidery machine. Leanne wants to know, convert photo to stitch, how to auto do this. All right, Leanne, that is what we are going to do today. For example, I will show you the one design that I do like using a lot because it's simple, it's easy, is the motorcycle. And just to let you guys know, all these vector and roster images here, and I want to say there's close to 50 to 60 different ones, they do come with your software. You have access to all of them. To get to them is on the left side, just click on your images icon to the far left, and that opens up the box. And then up top in the folders, you want to make sure you have your C drive selected. Under your C drive, you want to scroll down to Users. Click on the arrow to the left of Users, opens up the submenu. You want to scroll down in the submenu to where it says Public. Click on that arrow to open up its submenu. Click down where it says Public Pictures. Once you click on the arrow to open up its submenu, click on the arrow for ERA images, and you then have your roster and vector images that you can click, left click, and drag to your desktop area and start digitizing with them. It's easier if you select all images up here. Therefore, when you go back between the folders, you're able to see them. Otherwise, you've got to keep clicking on roster or vector images, then click on the folder. So for example, the motorcycle, we'll left click and we'll drag it to our workable area, and then there you have your motorcycle. See, what is the difference between a vector and a roster image? Please define. A vector image is a very clean, crisp, sharp image, almost like, say, a picture, compared to a roster image, which is a very high-resolution JPEG. So, for example, if I zoom in, you can still see it's still kind of jagged, but not as jagged as if you grabbed an image off of Google and saved it as a JPEG. So the lines are more defined using a raster image, which is a very high-resolution JPEG, compared to a vector. A vector would be to, for example, I'll show you the vector image, and we will just say, I don't know, here, if you notice, you can see how much cleaner the vector image is compared to the high-resolution JPEG, also known as a raster image. So that would be the big difference between the two. If you can, definitely do a raster image. If you have someone doing your artwork for you in CorelDRAW or Adobe Illustrator, definitely, Pat, definitely use a vector image. It is cleaner. It makes your lines a little more crisp than it would, a high resolution. So over here in the motorcycle, you bring your image in. We'll select it to highlight it. Up here where you have crop image, if you loaded something from CorelDRAW or Google Images and all you want is a particular part of that design, just simply come up to crop image, and then if we wanted just the windshield, left click and draw a box just around that windshield. It deletes everything else and gives you what you just highlighted. So you don't have to worry about having such a large image in your software. You've got color reduction. You can reduce the colors of the design. You've got a set size. What I would definitely do before you start digitizing is size your design to the actual size you're going to digitize it at. For example, this motorcycle is roughly 5.5 inches wide. Well, if you're doing it as a left chest, that's way too wide for a left chest. So you don't want to digitize it at 5.5 and then shrink it down, because some of the stitches you use for a larger size will not work for a smaller size, i.e. A satin stitch might now have to be a running stitch because it's too small to sew, or a fill might be a satin stitch. Same if you're going from a small design to a jacket back. Never digitize something for a left chest and then try blowing it up, to 12 inches for a jacket back. it's just not going to look the same. Your satins will be way too wide. You definitely want to change it to a fill stitch. So what I like doing first is I come to set size, and I've got a ruler here. Whatever I draw the line on, for example, if I choose this design instead of 5.5 inches, I go from the farthest point, left click, hold the button down, try to keep the line straight to the farthest distance on the right. Once I let go, it lets me know that that length of that line is 4.784 inches wide. I want my design to be 3.75 inches. I type in 3.75, I press enter. My design is now the size that I'm going to digitize it at. I will hit Control-Z to undo that. If a customer comes to you and says, hey, look, I want this design on my left chest, but my logo in this design, for example, the helmet, has to be 1.5 inches tall. Has to be. Well, you just left-click, draw a box just on the helmet, lets you know the helmet is 1 inch tall. Customer says he wants it 1.5. I type in 1.5, hit enter. It sizes the design proportionate, but make sure that your helmet is exactly 1.5 inches tall, so that when you sew it on the customer's garment, his logo is exactly what he wanted it. The rest of the design is proportionate to his helmet. So we will go ahead and make this design a little bit smaller. So we'll left click, draw a line all the way across, and we choose, say, 3.75 inches. Once I make my design to the size I want it, for an auto digitize, it's still highlighted. We come up to embroidery. You're going to choose art to stitch. This will take your image and convert it to stitches. And like I said, when doing this, you want to be, it's best to have a vectorized image because the stitches will be a lot cleaner. So we choose art to stitch. It's going to bring down drop-down menus. We want to choose art to stitch intelligent. In here, it allows you to do fill areas and border lines, just the fill areas only. Remove any small holes or inlets. You can come in here and adjust your colors to what you want to use, your needle settings of what needle you want to be with what, your stitch settings, what pattern default you want to use. If you're sewing on a particular fabric, your running stitch length, you can change that. It gives you a lot of options that you can customize to your design. So in the basic, if you want to fill areas and border lines, I will go ahead and move this to the left so I can see the OK button. Click OK. It will then look at your design, look at the colors in your design, and convert it to stitches automatically. So I will now turn off my images by left-clicking on images, turning the icon red, and as you can see, our design is now digitized for us. Down below on the left, we can see it's got 6,143 stitches. It has 8 colors with 8 color changes, and it's roughly 5.5 inches by 1.8 inches. So when looking at this design, doing the auto trace, it does it the way the computer wants, that it sees fit to the easiest. For example, I'll zoom in here to the tire, and as you can see, because of the size we chose with the tire, it knew the tire was wide enough to do as a satin stitch. And turn on stitches here. You can see the stitches actually go around and turn with the tire, making the shape of a tire rather than a flat fill one direction, which would not look good in sewing out. You try to want to make your design look as if it is 3D. You want it to be able to pop out at you. You don't want all your stitching to be the same direction. That gets a little boring. You want it to be different directions so that you can, have it pop out at you. Plus, it can be the same color, and the way the light hits it, it could change the look of the whole design. So, for example, if you notice the motorcycle, the body of the motorcycle, everything runs left and right. I want it to run at a 105-degree angle. So to change this is you left-click on the area you want to modify. You will see the directional line, which is by 2 yellow nodes connected by a line. Take those nodes, left-click, and drag that line to a new location, and you'll see the stitch count change, or the stitch direction change as you modify it. So now my motorcycle is going left and right. The back side's still going the same direction. I'll come back here and modify the back section. So I will select it, find the two little yellow nodes, left click, drag a direction, drag this direction, and change it to where it's taking like the shape of the body of the motorcycle. So it is doing it left and right, which is if you looked at a motorcycle, you kind of want to take the direction of the stitches as if you're looking at a motorcycle sitting right in front of you on which way the grain of the paint or the body or the shell goes. Any questions so far on doing an auto digitizing with the software? It is simple to do the auto digitizing. The only thing that it will not do, it doesn't do underlay. So you'll have to go into these sections and add the underlay. Let's see, Helen, can you change the stitch pattern? Yes, we can. For example, I'll show you here on the back of the shirt. Obviously, when it brings it in, everything is the same default fill pattern. So you want the shirt to take some kind of shape. So you left click on the object you want to manipulate. You'll come up here to the default fill section, left click on it, and then I usually go to all, which shows all the fill patterns that this software has. And then we've got all these different fill patterns you can choose from. For example, let's say we wanted to do this one. It looks kind of like a grain. We'll go ahead and let me move this out of the way. Click OK. It'll then look at the section that we had and change it to that fill section. You're like, I like it, but it's not what I really wanted. Just go back into it. We can scroll down, find the one we want, say a weave or little diamond shapes. We'll go with little diamond shapes here and change that one. And now it's little diamond shapes. That looks a lot better. Let's say you want the motorcycle to be different. We'll change the motorcycle. There's an option here I like using a lot. It looks like it's embossed. And basically what embossed means, in case some of you are not sure, is it's almost like a fill pattern with satin stitches on top of a fill pattern that gives a raised or bubble effect. For example, if you look here, you can see a fill pattern in the background, but it looks like it's got a pattern of satin stitches on top of it. So if I wanted, say, to choose the little triangles and click OK, let's go up to our view so you see the red. It's not really showing very good. You can't see it. You can kind of see the triangles. Let's just change it to, there you go. You see the red a lot better on the yellow. You can change the color, not the color, I'm sorry, the fill pattern of the motorcycle so that you get that different customized look. And if you change the stitch direction, it'll modify the look of that fill pattern so that you can change it to get that fill pattern the way you want. See, Helen asked, can you change the size of the stitch pattern? Let me scroll up here. And basically what she's meaning is, these triangles right now look really big because of the size of the design. Those sizes right here are predetermined from the programmer. So to change it, you would actually have to go a little bit larger. Therefore, the triangles will look smaller. So to answer your question, no, unfortunately, that is something that you cannot change right now. It has been asked in the past, which are things that anytime customers feel there's something that they would like to see or that needs to be changed or something that's not working properly or anything about the software, all you can do is email us, ask us the questions, and what we do is we present those to the programmers so that they can, is it something that they want to work on? Is it something easy? Is it something that's even feasible? Something that would enhance the software? Because every time they have an update or an upgrade, they always want to make the software better and easier, more user-friendly. So for something like that, if it gives the customer the customization to take a fill pattern and change it, that could be in an update or an upgrade. So that has been presented in front of them, whether they're going to work on it and do it just as an update or an upgrade. you know, that's something to be determined. They haven't let us know that yet. See, Michelle asks, when you create a design, you have about 5 stitches that will sew randomly at first. They won't lock. It just sews about 5 stitches in the same spot, then moves to the design. What am I doing to make this happen? It will sometimes throw my design off when trying to do a design range check. Michelle, the first thing the last thing you want to do, once you have your, let me change this color so it's, there you go, just make it different so it doesn't blend with the motorcycle. Basically, when you're done with the design, you can see where our design is sitting. The 0 on the left side comes across and matches with the 0 all the way over here. Where those 2 zeros meet is what the machine sees as the center of the design. So the last thing you want to do before you save your design is in the embroidery tab, in the middle where it says Start End, you want to select this, choose Start Point, come down, and you want to do a Start Point at First Section. You see the grid changed. Come back to Start End, choose End Point, and you want to End Point at Last Section. After that, you want to choose Center the Design. If you notice where the 2 zeros are now, at the end of the motorcycle on the right, by choosing Center Design, those 2 zeros are now in the middle of the design, but you chose already where the start point is and where the end point is. So when you program this into the machine, instead of it doing a couple of stitches, like you said, 5 stitches in the middle of the design and then jumping over to the first section, that will not happen by doing the start end point and then centering the design. It'll directly move to the first section. That's where we'll place its first stitch down, which is what you want to do up here on your start point. And you want to start point at first section, not in the middle. See, Leanne asked, I forgot what to click on to get images from the image tab. Oh, it's okay. To get the images that come with your software, Leanne, is once you click on the left side of your images, you want to scroll up in your folders. Oops, too far. You want to choose the C drive. So you would left click on the arrow next to C. You would scroll down until you see users. Left click on the arrow of users. Take that submenu down. Left click on the arrow next to public. Scroll down and you're going to left click on the arrow next to excuse me, public pictures. Underneath that you'll see ERA images. Left click on that arrow and then you'll have your roster and vector images. And when you select these two, if you've only got vector selected, when you click on your roster, it's not going to show you your images. You have to select roster images, then they'll appear. So what I always do is just click on all images, so no matter which folder you choose, you'll see your images without having to select another folder. Just makes it a little bit easier in my eyes. All right, let's see, Susan. Will this be placed on YouTube or some other location I can view again? Yes, Susan, we are recording this session, and we have all your email addresses from when you registered for this class. So when the class is done, I will get with Mark Stevenson, and he will go ahead and make sure everybody does get this video session so that you can review and save it as a file on your desktop to go over and over and over. You're welcome, Susan. Also, the other thing is down below, you've got your color sew out sequence here. So right now, and what it does is it's going to go from left to right. You've got this little like an arrow tab here that you can left click and drag it back, and you can see how it's undoing my design. What this will allow you to do is you can drag it back all the way to the beginning, hit the little play button over here to the far right. Oops, it's a little fast. Let's slow it down a little bit. Drop the speed down. And we will take the arrow and take it back over. So when you click the play button, come on, it will actually sew out your design. There we go. So we're back here. You can see it. You see where it's going right here? It's on the yellow, it fills the letter. So you can actually see how it's going to sew before actually sending it to the machine, in case you might see something to where some of the stitches are twisted in a certain area, it's bunched up, you don't have any underlay in a certain particular part of the design. This allows you to see it before taking it to the machine and you know, wasting a sew out, for example. So this is a nice little way to actually see your design sew out. We have another question, Priscilla. How do you copy a portion of the design? All right. Let's say once this is done, I'll just go ahead and just fast forward it for you. Let's say, for example, you know, you want to do the helmet, excuse me, 2 helmets. We could select the helmet, and then once you have the helmet selected, there's 2 ways you can do it. I usually do the Control and C to copy the design, and then Control and V will paste the design. Then I can left click, drag it to my new location. If I want the helmets to face each other, I will then come over to Rotate Mirror and choose Horizontal Mirror. It'll then rotate your copy design. Oh, you're welcome, Leanne. That would be the best way that I would do it, is just, you know, highlight the section, Control C and Control V. And when you do Control V and it pastes it, it's going to paste it, I think it's like five clicks away from where you copied it. So if you're doing stars in a design and they're all over the place, when you paste it, it's going to paste it back closest to the original one you copied it from. So if all the stars are the same, once you click to Control C, then Control V, move that to a location, that star is still hiding. Control C on that one, Control V, paste that one, move that one. Control C, Control V. So you're always copy and pasting the last one, so you don't have to zoom out, zoom back in, find the original one, drag it across the screen to place to another one. It's pretty much going to be close to where the first one was. Let's see, Control B or Control D. Can I understand what you're... Oh, I'm sorry, Pat. It is Control C as in Charlie to copy it, and then Control V, which is in Victor, to paste it. The other way you can do it is with the design highlighted. We come up here to the little, like a clipboard, left click on it. When the drop-down menu, just choose Copy or Control C as in Charlie, and then paste it. It's Control V as in Victor. You're welcome, Pat. Let's see, Leanne. Now you need to figure out how to do my photos. As actually a picture that you've taken and scanned in, say of your family or a tree or a rose, something like that. When it's something that detailed, I would definitely probably digitize it myself because of all the different colors or shades of colors that you have in a photograph. That would be really intricate, take you a while because of all the shading that you would have to do for a face. For example, you know, I can bring an example in. You know, we're getting close to the end of the Tech Talk today, but on the next Tech Talk, I can have a photograph that I can show you, and you know, with the face, you might have 5 different shades of, you know, from a cream color to a tan color, just to get the exact look you want of the shading, the bone structure, and the complexion of the skin. So when digitizing a actual photograph, that is really complex, and you know, will take you a lot of time to do. You're welcome. Let's see here, Priscilla. Show you how to reduce colors. Okay, I'll show you that. And the other one we have is Helen. If you have a design that is digitized already, can you alter it? Change pattern, add or remove parts, etc. If that design is in a DSG, which is David, Sean, Goliath, which is basically the software's own condensed format. So for like this motorcycle, I can manipulate it as if I just digitize it. I can change the density of this helmet. Rather than be a 5, I could drop it down, say, to a 2. As you can see, it's a lot looser now. It's more loose. If it's a design that you get as a stock design, like a DST or some you've downloaded from Dakota Collectibles. You can change the density a little bit. I wouldn't go overboard with it because it is an expanded design, and the more you start manipulating a design, an expanded design, is when you start running into the issues, because when you reduce stitches or increase stitches in a DST or expanded design, it looks at it as individual stitches is what you're taking out or adding. With a condensed design, which is something the software has that you digitized, it looks actually at the nodes that were placed, and it looks at the whole object when increasing or decreasing those stitches. All right, Priscilla wants to know, show how you reduce colors. All right, in reducing colors as in you want, as of right now, we're looking at this motorcycle, which has, the front of it's red, back of it's yellow. Well, I want the front yellow, the back yellow, and you want to combine those two. You can left click on the color you want to change and just select it that way. Is that what you're talking about? Just changing the colors? Same with his outfit. If he's in all green, you could select the sections that you want to change, turn it to the green, and we're reducing colors that way. So you're going from 8 colors, we're down now to 7 colors. Oh, taking a picture with shadows. Yeah, let me show you. I will go ahead and delete this motorcycle. I will bring back the image. Yeah, when you have your image up on screen and select it, we can go to the color reduction, and right now it's reducing up to 32 colors. Well, you look at it, you've got, black, white, gray, red, green, yellow, light blue, and dark blue. You got roughly 8 colors. So if I drop this down to, I only want 4 colors in this design. I reduce it to 4. I filter it. What it will do is it will merge the 2 colors or the more colors that are closest to each other. For example, a dark green and a black and a gray, it saw as being closer together than a bright red. So it merged those 2 colors. But when doing that, as you start to get, it does it the way it wants. Maybe 5 colors, and we'll reduce it to 5 colors. Like, no, a little bit more, go to 6 colors and do it that way. The other way that you can do it is if, we'll make this more than what it has, we'll filter it, is we'll go ahead and when you come over here to convert to a vector image, you pretty much have the same control over here, except it goes from 16 colors to 4 colors. So we'll leave it at 16. We'll filter it. But what I want to do is I want to merge the light blue and the dark blue colors together. So I will choose up here the dark blue, hold my control key down, left click on the light blue, and then combine those 2 colors to become one. Okay, and take the background out. Well, right now we have white in the design, which of course was the background, which we see right here. What you would do is when the transparent, select this list and choose which color you do not want to be shown in the design. So for example, the white background, we select white. Once you vectorize the image and click return, as you notice now, that white background is now gone. So all we have is we have the individual parts in the individual design with no white background. If I would have left the red out, we'd have the white background, but not the red. You're welcome, Priscilla. Let's see, Pat wants to know, can a roster image be converted to a vector image? Yes, it can, Pat. That is exactly what I just chose. This image here was I will delete this and show you. We go to images. We choose our roster images. Say we choose the guy boxing. As you notice, we have a white background that we do not want. We want to get rid of this. But right now, he is a high-resolution JPEG known as a roster image. So when you go to convert to vector, 16 colors is fine. I want to filter it. Shows me the colors in the design. Everything looks good. I want to make the white transparent. I come over to Vectorize, choose Vectorize. It runs through the design, takes out the white. I click Return. We now have our design leaving the white background out. If you notice, instead of the whole design being highlighted with the running ants, it is now each individual section. So what that is good for is I can take, well, I don't want the blue to sew. I want the blue to be the color of the shirt because it's a blue shirt. So when you digitize, you just don't digitize it, or highlight that section and delete that blue out of the shirt so that you don't make the mistake of actually sewing it. And now you've got the design, but when you sew it, it's going to sew on a blue shirt. You can actually come over here to your background color, choose a particular blue that you're using. Oops, sorry, got to be embroidery here. Go to your background color, choose that blue for your shirt, your garment. Let's put it right there. Oh, we got to move him over. My bad. Move him over. We got the blue color we chose. Click OK. Now you can see what the design will look like sewn out on your blue shirt. So you can change that blue to another blue. It's too dark, too light. Make it a little bit lighter. Color of your garment. Click OK. You're like, oh, it looks better. I like that. So when you digitize, you would digitize the whole design, leaving out, obviously, the blue area because we deleted that particular part. So you'd be able to highlight the design, go to your embroidery tab, choose Art to Stitch, Art to Stitch Intelligent. Move this over so I can see it because I keep putting my window in the way. Click OK. It looks at your design, looks at the colors, creates it. You see our little hourglass working. Once it's done, I'll turn the vector off, and there's our design. So, you've got a clean-cut, clear image as the motorcycle. You're welcome, Pat. This design of the boxer, it's easy to convert to stitches. It's when you've got more of a complex design, like a photograph. It's more complex, and in that way, I would actually digitize it myself rather than let the computer do it. For one, it gives you the more customization. It gives you the more your creative mind on how you want to place the stitches. We can still go into this design and delete parts of it and digitize it ourselves. But for a nice, crisp, clean image, that's the best way to do it, is just once you have your image on screen, choose the embroidery tab, go to Art to Stitch, choose Art to Stitch Intelligent, and then, you've got your design digitized. It's a quick, easy way to get a design from a business card, create it, to sewing on the customer's garment. And like our salesperson Don always says, if the machine's not making noise, it's not making money. And you definitely want to have that machine sewing as much as you possibly can, so that you do have money coming in, and it makes it worth your while. So, when digitizing a complex design, I have a lot of customers that'll take designs and they'll ship it off to a company on their more intricate designs. Let them do it. They'll have it back within 24 hours. And, it doesn't stop them from doing what their other designs they need to get done that they feel more comfortable about doing until they work their way up to more complex designs. And I always tell customers too, even if you send a design out somewhere to be digitized for you, you have the time, try to create it yourself, and then when you get that one back, just compare the two so that you can see why it was done this way, why stitches were turned this angle, why is there underlay here? Why is this a satin border? That'll better help you understand how to start creating more complex designs. Let's see, Leanne, like taking from a bus card, how do you lose some of the info? Oh, the business card. Like taking from a business card. What do you mean losing some of the info? When you scan it in, or in the actual design, or the way we crop it out? All right, let me get back to the screen here. We'll delete that out. Oh, taking parts out of the design out? It's easy. Once you have the business card in, I don't think I really have one that looks like a business card, but let's just take this one. Say you scan the guy's business card in, and all he really wants is the sailboat. He doesn't need the waves, doesn't need the background, multiple colors. You know, you've got the design up on screen. Oh, let me get rid of the other vector image so I don't get the two confused. Go back to images, take our boat, bring it back to the screen. Is go to convert to vector, filter it, so it filters out all the colors and shows you just what we have here. We want the white transparent, so that takes care of that white part. We vectorize it. We return it back to the screen. Once it's here, each section is individual, so we can now select and delete those particular parts of your design, getting rid of what the customer doesn't want. All that you need is what you're going to digitize. Come in here and just highlight, and all I'm doing is hitting the delete button. So now we've scanned in the guy's business card. We've gotten rid of, the text. We've gotten rid of, the background he had behind his design. All we have is this particular part. Yeah, if you want to take out the words of the business card, same way. Let's just go ahead and add these back in. All right, so we got the one image. Here's his business card. If he only wants, for example, Leanne, he just wants just this particular part of the sailboat with it highlighted up here in crop image. Obviously, if you have a business card, it's obviously going to be long like this. He only wants his design, which is sitting right here. All this is his company name, his address, phone number down at the bottom. What I would do is go to crop image and just draw a box just around his particular design, which normally is in the right-hand corner. It's going to delete everything else in that business card. So all you've got is your design here, which is the black part. Go to convert to vector. You want to filter it. Make the orange the transparent because we don't want that in there anyway. Vectorize it. Click on return. And then simply come in here and delete the rest of the design. So all you have is just his logo, which is here. So yeah, definitely you could take words out. Crop the design first to make it easier. Go to convert to vector, and then come in and delete whatever else you don't want, leaving just his logo to make it a lot easier to digitize.